Welcome back to EEP 15. This is another build update. In my last video I have presented 3 possible layouts I would consider working on. I have decided to actually start with the third. That is the little train station which was completely unfinished at the time. There was just some track and some ramps and some platforms and perhaps a station building ready, but no details or textures whatsoever. I will consider the middle one as well, which was a little city with a lot of minor branch lines going in and out. But I will not build them at the same time. I will finish this one and then start the other one, because I still have the river delta that I would like to work on, which has taken a seat back because I finished the freight line, and this is supposed to replace that one. Let's talk quickly what I've done. So last time, as I said, there was just a track line in the layout. It is for a branch line station, I think a fairly generous track. It's taken from a real station called Hasenfelde, so it should be reasonably realistic. One viewer actually pointed already something out based on my last video, that these set of switches or switch points, which are here already corrected, were kind of more in a model railway way of doing things and not in the real railway way of doing things. What happened there was the layout had here a turnout and then another connection instead of going here one straight. So I corrected that, even though the layout is supposed to be correct anyways, but I agree that more straight lines and that fewer curving forward and backward is probably the right way to go. Here's a small area where the engine of the last train that comes in at the night can get serviced and stay overnight, and then in the morning they will leave. They have an ability to coal, water and sand. Then in the background I have just elevated the terrain. As I said already in my last video, topology isn't the focus here, but I wanted to start working on very modest elevations, just enough to get a proper ending to the layout, which is very close. This is a default sized layout only, and I left some space here up front. I wanted to make this a diorama, and I will also most likely put a physical shadow depot here in this area and not cut it off. I was considering working with virtual depots, and I'm doing that already for the cars. Let me just start this. You can see the cars driving around. They get spit out here behind those trees every few seconds and drive. But I'm not sure if you can make it really random with the virtual depots. You can set an automatic time, and I'm not sure why this guy goes so fast. There's something wrong there. I have to double check that. They're supposed to go all 30 miles per hour. Kilometers per hour. It's even slower. So there's probably something I did wrong, but I did something wrong anyways. I wanted to use also virtual depots for the trains, and in order to do that, I wanted to build a little scenario, and I wanted to set the EEP time as a lure function where you can set the time. But somehow the time that I can print out and use and the time that I put in didn't reconcile and with each other. And I'm kind of, well, is that the right word? I couldn't make sense out of the time. The time that I entered wasn't the time that was then inside the program, and I have to figure out what's going on there, so that I can use virtual depots more effectively. For the time being, then I'm most likely back. Next time you'll see a physical shadow depot in this empty area that we have remaining here. Anyhow, let's talk more about this layout and what has been done. So there's a little agricultural area here. There is a little orchard Here perhaps some people harvest some fruits. There are some farm tracks going to those buildings. I've built roads. The main road through the layout is here in the background with the cars driving. And I will put kind of a little border spline here beside those roads so that they kind of look more realistic. Please ignore the buildings here to the left. They're just standing there. Also these two buildings, there will only be one here. Most likely this one, not the one which is kind of more a post along the track. Anyways, I put here two houses nearby the station, though there is a little bit something here. There's a connecting road. There's a loading area here where currently lumber and gravel is being loaded on rail cars. I don't like that this gravel and that gravel have a different texture. This is much lighter, as you probably can see, and I will most likely try to find something else. I think I have something else that is more in tune so that they look alike. That makes no sense to have light gravel that suddenly becomes dark. Anyhow, these are two of the 4 train sets that I'm planning to use. And I think they fit the area and the style very well. I'm actually very happy with those. And then here in the background we have a pasture with some cows. They are not moving cows because of the incline. If the cows start moving, they tend to float in the air or bury themselves into the landscape because they cannot follow a incline, so they're all more or less stationary. That's okay. Then there's here a little coal shop. The roads will all connect out here back to the depot. There are receiving depot entries at the ends. Maybe you can see them. Yeah, you see the little golden locomotive. That is the depot entry. And here again, it's a small town, or not even a town. It's a village. Actually, only the hint of a village that we see here. And then there is some agriculture. People will bring their produce, the milk, and things like that to the train station for transport, as I said last time. I like this portal very much with the rounded entry. And I haven't done the breakthrough yet because I'm still kind of modifying the terrain, and if it's not final then you just have to do it all over again. This farm track most likely will go by this little orchard, come down here. There will be a farm track crossing. I'm not sure if it will be just secured with a cross, if there will be some warning flashing lights, something like that. And then it will follow this track into the background here. That should be fine. I used the conifer trees on this side. I think they look okay. I'm not sure. I may put one house in here which is kind of the forestry office or whatever you want to call it up there. It is a little bit empty. This mowed meadow here is okay. That gives a little bit of change. I have to think about how I address this fairly large area without much change. I'm not sure if I want to make another field here, perhaps just a soily kind of brown field here, and then pasture or just grassland up there. And here a little forestry office. That should do it. Here's a little lake now. Then we'll of course have to detail out the waterway. It's supposed to be a creek. I like this stationary surface here actually. Once you have the bushes around, I think it will not look odd, but it's not really flowing. But I think that's okay. And here there will be one more building, just that it's not too empty. And perhaps here another building, and then that will be it for the time being. And then we'll focus on having a few trains coming in and out of the station and having a little bit of traffic. Trains coming from here, from the tunnel, which is where the the connection to the main line is. And then we'll go to one more village, the track that has been added later after the fact. And some trains will only go forward and backward here. We'll have to switch the engine to the other side frequently. Kind of things like that. And then we'll have a little bit of traffic here and can enjoy how the train's coming in and out. There will be some buses coming, perhaps some trucks driving by here. There will be a truck to this fairly secure factory and warehouses here that can go in here. You see that the roads aren't really aligned with the underlying surface correctly yet. So there's some work to be done. But compared to just a few days ago, I think there's good progress. I start to like the textures here in the train station, which is a combination of track ballast, some soil, and some greeny things. And that should work. I have actually interacted at the forum about the placement of those signals, which are the exit signal. My question was, what happens if a train goes from here through here on this track and exits here? If that middle signal isn't there, which is very awkward, it doesn't look right. I know that. That's why I asked at the forum. What would happen? And the very friendly gentleman at the forum, very knowledgeable, recommended a good solution for me. Indeed, that middle signal will go away, and I will have a shunting signal perhaps here and here. The two main exit signals will move beyond the level crossing here. And the only awkward thing that I don't like about that, but it's okay, is that the exit signals and then the entry signals for the train station are basically side by side here. But so be it. That'll be okay. Then I'll think about what I do here in the foreground. Perhaps I make here a bike path where currently just this rubble is lying. Just a bike path where some bicyclists can go up and down just to provide some distraction in the foreground. Yeah, that is basically where I am. There's actually, it looks like a lot of progress has been made, which it has. But it's amazing always how much detail is left. For example, there has to be walls around these buildings, kind of not necessarily walls, fences, perimeters in any case. Some plans, especially this house I want to pay attention to because it is the first you meet. These up here will probably be more like background. I will not put a lot of details into those. Also thinking about what I do behind the houses. I don't want to make it all forest. I want to leave some grassland there. And then I think about if I put some bushes along this road, then we can start to slowly focus more on moving trains around. Currently that's not happening. I'm actually thinking already about getting rid of the virtual depots even for the cars, so that I can do a more random delivery that 2-3 cars can come in a close connection, then there's a longer break, then there's a car coming, then maybe 2 come again together. That is something I haven't figured out how to do with a virtual depot, unless you take the timing effects. You can put release times in there individually for every vehicle. But it does seem to be overkill. Anyways, that is the update. Wish you a wonderful evening for now, and see you at the next video. Bye-bye.